If you clicked on this video, you have a flawed mindset. You might be wondering what in the world I'm talking about. Well, here's the thing about perfection. It doesn't exist, because it's a paradox. To better understand this concept, we can imagine perfection as a parabola. 0 is our current skill level, and 1 would be quote-unquote perfect. When we are trapped in the perfection paradox, we get trapped inside the decimals between 0 and 1. In other words, we will get closer and closer, but still never reach it. And so there are two main issues with perfectionism. I'm Zapper, your favorite Immortal 3 yapper. I hope you enjoyed the video. If we spend too much of our time planning perfection, thinking of the best strategies, tactics, planning out our peaks, or even just thinking about what the best way to peak is, then we end up in analysis paralysis. We start thinking about the game more than we actually play it, leaving us trapped in the in-between, learning slower because we play less than we could. You can easily identify if this is your issue because yes, you will be heavily overthinking the game. But you will also find yourself searching for information constantly. This could be watching pro streams, highlights, and honestly even educational videos like mine. It's helpful to feed your brain new information in moderation. Just don't go searching for perfection in the sea of the internet. It's like swimming in the Pacific Ocean expecting to find $1 million treasure chest. The second issue is honestly much more dangerous because it stops us from learning as quickly as we should be, sometimes even halting progress altogether. Imagine this. You stumble across a movement guide on YouTube. In the video, you learn how to peek with only your A and D keys, and you learn how it makes you a much harder target because you move faster. Then you hop over to Deathmatch, you try it out, you're seeing some results. And so obviously you're going to go play some ranked. In the next hour, you get extremely tilted because despite peeking every angle perfectly, you still find yourself losing crucial gunfights, rounds, and eventually the game altogether. The worst part, you learned nothing. You were so fixated on peeking with A and D that you stopped playing the game. You were so obsessed with perfecting your peaks that your timings got sloppy. Your aim became lazy and your teamwork was non-existent. Yet, you didn't notice any of these issues because your brain was so distracted with perfectionism. Here's the reality. Perfectionism can lead to anxiety, burnout, and even chronic dissatisfaction. Even if perfectionism did work, which it doesn't, take it from me, is it even worth it if you end up in a terrible headspace? If this is all sounding familiar, don't worry, you're not alone. A much healthier approach for success would be based in excellence. In a recent study at the University of Ottawa, excellencism correlated with higher life satisfaction, lower depression, as well as greater progress towards one's goals. So here's how you do it. First of all, it's important to adopt a mantra, at least in the beginning, to remind yourself. Personally, I like to say excellence from execution. This teaches a few things. You need to get in the reps. Don't just sit around lollygagging. If you want to improve and you only have 2 hours a day to play, spend the entire time playing Valorant. Spend 10 minutes warming up in Deathmatch, and then play as many ranked games as you can. Once you run out of time, fill in the remainder with either more Deathmatch or some aim training. Lots of players will spend way too much time self-criticizing, watching TikTok, YouTube, or even just thinking about what they could have done better. Maybe even anime. I've been watching a lot of Blue Lock. It's pretty crazy, even though the animation isn't that good. What you're doing here is you're wasting your valuable time. And sometimes this can be the difference between getting in 3 games and only getting in 2. Over time, the difference builds up. After a week, that's 7 entire games that you missed out on. Tons of experience that just went straight into the void from your perfectionism. How many times have you heard pros answer the question, "How did you get such good aim?" Only to get in response, "I just played the game for 300,000 hours. The second thing this teaches you is that you're striving for excellence, not perfection. So when you fail, you're much more motivated to try and do it better next time. You don't have the expectation that you're going to do it perfectly every time, and instead you're striving to achieve excellence. Try again, execute, fail, execute again. Over time, your learning begins to compound, and that's when the ELO floodgates open up. Oftentimes, getting the raw experience is all you need to improve. Don't get distracted by every little tip that comes your way. Of course, try out new things and see what works. But don't get so obsessed with something someone else said was good, especially if it hasn't been working for you.